Hey friends, welcome back to the Give Me Liberty podcast of the Standing for Freedom Center at Liberty University. We have many friends that are gathered here at the National Religious Broadcasters Conference in Orlando, and I have a new friend here with me, Raymond Arroyo, who is the Fox News contributor, one of my favorite Fox News contributors, but author of, and this is really cool, Turnabout Tales, The Unexpected Light of Thomas Alva Edison.
Yeah.
I lived in Louisville, Kentucky, by the way, for a while.
Wow.
And there was an Edison house not too far from there. General Electric had a huge plant.
Correct.
So, you know, Edison's huge. He invented the light bulb, but then he started a massive company.
You bet.
That bought lots of patents.
Well, 3,000 patents in his lifetime.
Yeah.
I mean, Edison, you know, we look at all the things Edison created. We know little about how he became Edison, and that's really what I focus on here. But look, let's be honest, the microphone, the light, the alkaline battery, curling iron, the dynamo, the phonograph, all of that is Thomas Alva Edison. I could be here an hour just reciting the things he created. But the curious and interesting part of the story for me was, I found a quote from Edison where he said, "My mother was the making of me. She allowed me to follow my bent, and if not for her faith and confidence in me at a particular moment in my life, I should never have become an inventor."
Wow.
And I thought, who is this mama, and what is this moment in his life? And I discovered when he was 8 years old, in second grade, the schoolmaster said he's addle-brained and can't be taught. Edison probably had ADHD. He was deaf by the time he was 12, which a lot of people don't know. The guy who created the phonograph and had the first record label, by the way. But he was. And so because of that, I think he was a withdrawn child, probably couldn't hear all the lessons all that well. They throw him out of school. His mother takes him home and says, "I'm going to homeschool him. I'll educate him myself." How Thomas Edison isn't the patron saint of homeschooling, I will never know, but he should be. I mean, this mother set him on a course. She fed his imagination, but more importantly, she gave him the classics, and she gave him these scientific compendiums, these textbooks, if you will, on electricity and natural science. I've held them in my hands. I've gone to the Edison labs in West Orange. They pulled them out of the archives for me. It is incredible to me that those were the first and last textbooks that Thomas Edison would ever really come into contact with. That was the end of his formal schooling. He was entirely self-taught, a hustler, a kid who knew how to tinker and play with things, and his mother gave him permission, in his own words, to learn with his head, but also learn with his hands. And that's how he invented process of elimination. The light bulb, other people had come up with arc lights and light bulbs. They just couldn't get it to glow for any extended period of time. Edison figured that out and patented that. It took him 6,000 attempts, though. 6,000 filaments that he tried until he found bamboo, of all things.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, this is incredible. By the way, Liberty University has over 18,000 students enrolled in K through 12 education that is primarily geared towards homeschooling and pod schools and that kind of thing. One of the things that I love about this story, though, and I love about children's books in general, is that early formation in education, how critical his relationship was with his mother.
Yeah.
A lot of times people are thinking only in terms of the institution that is public education, but education can happen anywhere. And so here it is, he's a young guy, obviously his mom got involved, right?
Well,
And-
you're right. It
Yeah.
speaks to the proximity a parent has to that child. You know that child better than anybody else, and you people watching. You know your child better than any teacher or coach or passerby or friend. Nancy Edison was the only one who saw this spark of curiosity in her son, and she tended that unexpected light that I talk about in the title of the book. But everyone else missed it, and she allowed him not only to learn what he needed to know in life, but she gave him and fed his passion. Only a parent really understands that.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good reminder that we as parents or mentors or relatives, it's our obligation to stay close enough to these children so we understand what is the possibility in them and then clear the path so they can actually go and become what God intended them to be. And in the case of Edison, I mean, so much of our lives that we take for granted, your entire cell phone, I always tell people this, you basically, if you don't like Edison, throw your cell phone away. Motion picture camera, Thomas Edison. The lithium battery, the forerunner to the lithium with alkaline battery, Thomas Edison. All electric communication, the telegraph, all of that, those refinements, so much of that we owe not only to Thomas Edison, but to his mother, Nancy Edison, who first saw the spark, the one we still glory in and bask in today.
You know, I have over 3,000 volumes in my home. I got a lot of theological books, historic books, political books, and I love nonfiction. But I have quite a few. We homeschool. We got 3 kids at home, and we have many children's books. And I think this is where it all starts. I love the fact that you wrote a children's book. I understand it that you have another one coming out, but tell us just real quickly why you decided to get into children's books.
You know, I've written middle grade series, a Will Wilder series, which is a fantasy series with a, for people who like Harry Potter or don't, the centerpiece of my series is Western antiquities, relics and Western antiquities that are found in actual libraries, museums, and churches around the world. That is the centerpiece of the action in those 3 books. I'm writing the 4th. So I visit a lot of schools because of that.
Yeah.
And when you visit schools, you see the ignorance of commonplace American figures, great American lives that we took for granted. Washington and Jefferson and Lincoln. I mean, I was in a classroom and I said, tell me who John Adams is. Tell me about John Adams. They said, was he Wednesday Adams' brother? I said, no, he was not Wednesday Adams' brother. This is a problem.
And those are the bright ones, folks.
Right. At least they're on, the old cultural references. But I thought it was really important to remind a new generation, not only of these great American lives, but how it relates to their life. So the framing of this is Turnabout Tales. And our logo, our motto for the series is challenges faced, decisions made, history turned. And that's every life, all of our lives, but particularly these great American lives. So I started with Edison, who had his crisis, probably had ADHD, deaf at 12, thrown out of school. How many kids go through some of those difficulties? But I tell kids, I tell parents as well, they're not obstacles, they're superpowers. They're given, this allowed Edison, the ADHD, allowed Edison to focus on multiple problems at once and focus deeply in a way his peers could not. The second book is about Abraham Lincoln's youngest son, Tad Lincoln, who, though he was a boy and a child allowed to play, it's called The Magnificent Mischief of Tad Lincoln, because I want to remind parents, play and allowing your child to play and entering into that with them may be the most important thing you can do at that moment. And in the case of Abraham Lincoln, it almost makes me cry talking about it, not only did Tad Lincoln save his father and his father's mental health at the height of the Civil War in extreme loss. They had such loss as a family and tragedy. But Tad and Abe Lincoln together create one of our great national holidays and a tradition that continues to this day. We have to keep these lives alive and in the forefront of our minds because they tell us something about who we are and who we're meant to be. So that's what the Turnabout Tales series is about. You can get them everywhere. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever your local books are sold.
Raymond, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for what you do at Liberty. We visited the university. I'm blown away the last time I went. The building, the expansion, the students. I went to NYU. The quality of student at Liberty is very different from the NYU student. I'll leave it there without destroying my alma mater.
I won't challenge you on that one. Brother, thank you so much for joining us. We so appreciate it.
And thank you all for watching.